But now that everyone's had a chance to hop in, I won't take up any more of your time. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, today's masterclass is all about end of the year prep. So just a few additional action items to take while you are really wrapping up this production. Making sure that you feel that your account has, a good handle on things as we move into the new year. So really what we're going to touch on during today's class are property statuses. We'll have a chance to take a look at those different statuses and what they mean. We'll then have a chance to do some spring cleaning. So we'll take a look at those property statuses, take a look at the organization of these files, maybe move some things around so that we have everything reflecting correctly. Last but not least, I will touch on reporting. So for the most part, everything that I cover here during today's session, you will have access to. However, the reporting section here will be admin only. So my agents that have joined in on today's masterclass, just keep that in mind. You'll have access to property statuses and spring cleaning, but you will not have access to the reporting tools that I'm going to touch on here shortly. So with that, let's go ahead, hop into my SkySlope demo account and get started with today's training. So the first thing that I wanted to touch on here today are different property statuses. Essentially, you have a status bar that runs across the top of your screen. Now, this is great because at a glance, I can see exactly what's going on. Now, my admin that are working with multiple different offices, keep in mind you have this filter. If I only want to see the Beverly Hills information, I can go ahead and select, and my status bar up at the top will reflect accordingly. Let's go ahead, we'll look at all of our property files here today. Looking good. The first thing we'll do is jump into our managed transaction folder. Now, this is great. In my demo account, I can see quite a few different types of properties and statuses. So first things first here, I can see that I have an incomplete. Now, this is a good one to start with simply because this means that this property is what we call in limbo. That just means this status is indicating we do not have all of the information the brokerage has required. So if I click into this incomplete file, you can see here that I've ended at that transaction tab, and I have no other following tabs of that data. Now that is okay. It just simply means that these red asterisks have not been completed. So dropping this down, I'll go ahead and add myself in here as an agent. Scrolling on through, I know that I'm in two separate offices. So today we'll drop this in that learning office and select that checklist type. So very traditional in the sense that we are filling out all of these red asterisks to make sure that this information reflects correctly. We'll include that acceptance date and push this right on out, give us quite a far close. And when I click next, you'll notice that this contacts tab opens up. Now I'm still seeing this incomplete status because again, I need to take this property file all the way through and complete these red asterisks. So I can just go ahead and say loan officer example and hit save. Oops. Oop, there we go. Missed that little asterisk there. Once again, hit save. Now, of course, here, we'll go ahead and submit this information to bring us to our next tab. Our commission information, we'll go ahead and fill that out as well. Enter in a sales price. Not sure what this was listed for, but let's give ourselves a nice big price tag for fun. And once again, we'll go ahead and hit submit. Now you can see my status no longer reads incomplete. That checklist is now going to match that pending status. It means all of my tabs are open and I can continue to complete out this property file. Now, of course, I know my role as an agent is to finalize that sales documentation prior to the close of escrow so that I'm getting paid on time. But admin, if you are noticing that incomplete status, it just simply means that your agent stopped during one of these three initial tabs, and there's more required information, which is going to be deemed by those red asterisks that you see walking through the process. Now let's go ahead and take a step back once again. I'm going to pop right back into manage transactions. I have one less incomplete, but I can also see I have an expired status. Now this is going to register expired simply because we've passed this close date. No problem at all. This close date is going to be a direct indicator of that status. And I always want to make sure that my close date is reflecting accurately. It's a great way to make sure the brokerage can report later on and pull the correct dates. So it's very important that we have this top section. Let's go ahead and click right in. This top section here, reflecting accurate information, since this is what will be pulled with those reports. Now, in order to update this expired status, very simple. All I need to do is scroll right on down and find that close date. We know in real estate, things change. We might need to push this out. We might close early, hopefully. But today we'll go ahead and push this again right on out through the month of December. And when I click next, you'll notice once again, my status reflects to pending. All of those red asterisks have been provided. I now have a good acceptance and close date ready to go. And again, I'm doing this so my brokerage has accurate information to base these end of year reports off of. Let's take one more step back once again. There we are in our home base. I'm going to jump right back into manage transactions. I can now see that this reflects as pending, and that is perfect. Now keep in mind, part of this spring cleaning is really to clear out the property files that are waiting for admin responses. So right away, I have my canceled transactions pending approval. Keep in mind that admin will be responsible for approving cancellations. Your agents can only indicate that a cancellation has occurred. So what I'm going to do, if I have documents, or I should say property files, building in this section here is click right on in. And I'm going to notice that I have the option to approve this cancellation. So I'll go ahead and do so. I'll click approve cancellation. And it will remove that property file right on out of this subsection here, and it will land within that agent's home base. So part of that spring cleaning, of course, is to confirm that your property file statuses all read that nice pending color. We don't have any of these incompletes or expireds. Just ensures the brokerage has the right information to work with. And then additionally, the admin will clear out this canceled transactions pending approval. If there's any reason to follow up with that agent and request cancellation documents, this is your opportunity to do so. And last but not least, we have closed transactions to be archived. Now, this is another great housekeeping item for my admins. Your agents can indicate, of course, that the property file is closing by reflecting that closing date, but it will be the admin's responsibility to close those property files. Just gives you the opportunity to do that final review, make sure that all the documents are accounted for, and then of course, give you the opportunity to pay out your agents. So here I have my closed transactions to be archived. This is a little bit more of what we refer to as high on our admin's radar. Now, this can mean either this property file has incomplete items and we're past that close date, or it means that I would still require items after the close of sale. So you always want to still close the property file on that closing date. However, you have the option to either move it directly into archives or to put it into this kind of high priority list. This is just a great way to separate property files that have come to a close, but again, still have some remaining documentation that need to be reviewed. Once that documentation has been submitted and you're ready to close this file, you can do so using this quick action button. This will allow you to close it, or you can go into the transaction itself, jump into that checklist here. Taking a look, everything looks good to go. I can go ahead and move this right on over into archives. So a very easy way to just kind of conduct that spring cleaning here. Feel free to roll right on through. You can always leave yourself a note as well, indicate, hey, this waited X amount of days before documents were submitted. Whatever you need to do to kind of keep this section organized. But again, I just like to highlight, you will still want to close your property files just as best practice. You will still want to close those property files. Let's go ahead and do so with this one here. I'll jump into the checklist once again. Taking a look, we are good to go. I will still want to close this transaction on the actual close date. Now, the ability to put it into that little subsection there relies heavily on this toggle. If I do not choose to archive this property file, it'll land in the to be archived section. So if you do choose to make this part of your practice, take this as an opportunity to scroll through and make sure that any property files that are complete and are ready to be stored away receive that archive stamp. Now I'll go ahead and close this file here. Now the reason why we want this information again to reflect correctly is for our ability to our admin team to hop into the admin section. Now here you have the ability, we've got a tab far end of our screen here, the ability to pull reports. Now I always like to be very clear. Our reporting section is very simple because it gives you, the user, a lot of capability. Now you will need to enter in a start and end date. We will need a date range, but then you have the ability to download a listing, pending, closed, or master data report. When you do download these reports, it'll automatically pull this up in an Excel spreadsheet, or if you don't use Excel, you might use Microsoft Numbers or something along those lines. So just keep that in mind. It will pull it into a spreadsheet for you on your local computer, and you can then use your filter options from there. So we'll pull all the information there for the master data report, or you can go ahead and categorize them accordingly. But again, keep in mind, the reporting will only reflect the information within your property files. So now that the year is coming to an end, great opportunity to make sure that information reflects correctly. All right, guys, let's go ahead and wrap up today's session here by jumping over into this little headset, into our support page, just simply to highlight that we do have our new training offerings. So we now have our SkySlope Academy ready to go. So if you do onboard any new team members here in the new year, be sure to visit learn.skyslope.com for all training needs. Not only can you access these 15-minute webinars, you also have the ability to grab these master classes if you don't have a chance to join in person. I upload them to our page here, so they're ready to go. But we also have some on-demand self-paced certification courses, which we're really excited to offer for you. So simply keep in mind that you have this additional training resource available if you are onboarding new team members here within the new year. So lastly, I'll go ahead and bring my masterclass slides back up one more time, pose a quick challenge for you as we wrap up. Jump into your own SkySlope account. My admin team, take a look at those property statuses. Let your agents know, hey, I need you to complete out those required fields. Also, keep in mind that those red asterisks are customizable to the brokerage. So if you notice that there are a bunch of those red asterisks, you'd maybe like to take it down a notch. You don't need as much information as you originally were looking to capture, might make that process for agents a little quicker. Gives you the opportunity to review what fields you do require of your agents. Maybe there's a few you would like to see moving into the new year. Everyone likes to gauge their own ROIs. Just a suggestion to reach out to your account manager and update any of those red asterisks to the data your brokerage would like to see. And of course, what you'd like to be able to report on. So with that, I'll go ahead and take a quick breather here. Check in on that chat feature if we have any questions. But of course, if you do choose to hop off, thank you so much for joining today's masterclass. Thank you for sticking with me there in the beginning for some tech issues. But happy sky sloping, and we hope to see you next week.